If someone were to ask me what my favorite movie was, and I was too embarrassed to say My Babysitter's a Vampire, then I would tell them it was Ferris Bueller's Day Off. It was the first film to trigger my teen movie obsession that has yet to go away, and in my opinion, it's one of the best examples of the genre and my personal favorite John Hughes film. I think Mr. Hughes is able to portray the true highs and lows of middle-class teenage suburbia thrown over the top and campy lens better than from a dry and serious one like in The Breakfast Club. No offense to that movie, I don't hate it like a lot of other people do, but Ferris Bueller's monologuing on how to get out of school will always be more charming to me than every teen stereotype just sitting in a circle and crying about their emotions, although I do enjoy that from time to time as well. There's a magic captured in between the relationship of Ferris and Cameron that many movies have attempted to replicate and only do so to varying degrees of quality, and whether or not you actually like the movie, recognizing its importance in the teen movie lexicon and its general quality is something that's hard to deny, at least for myself. And then there's Expelled. Just for a little background knowledge, I pre-ordered this movie to rent on YouTube back when it came out in 2014. Because I was an Andrea Russet stan and ended up purchasing it by accident, which is something that soils my YouTube purchase history to this day. I became reconnected with this film when I went to watch GBF, another movie I bought on YouTube that I would consider a guilty pleasure of mine if I didn't think it was unironically brilliant, but that's a discussion for another day. I saw Expelled sitting there for no real reason at all, reminding me of my past mistakes, and I decided to give it a watch again. I have a real fascination with literally every aspect of this movie, from the casting choices down to its widely vacant reception. I haven't seen many YouTubers do shouty, angry reviews where they roast the movie and just go, this is how all teen movies are, so I don't feel too nervous in commenting about the negative parts of a movie like this. Something you'll commonly see when it comes to reviews about teen movies is that people just don't respect the genre at all. I really love teen movies and I have a little bit of an obsession with them. For my high school senior thesis, I did an entire project where I analyzed the elements and characters within teen movies. I have a creepy little conspiracy board still hanging in my room to this day about it. So I love teen movies and I know what makes a good one and what makes a bad one. And I can tell you right now this is a bad one. Not because it's a teen movie, but because it is just a cheaply done cash grab, basically. So clearly my trust in YouTube reviewers may be rock bottom, but it's clear that I am justified in this opinion since I have yet to see a positive review/analysis of any film in the teen movie genre. Except for maybe The Edge of 17, which I find to be unreal levels of bad, so maybe I'll just never agree with those assholes. Yeah, The Breakfast Club may get some cool Nerd Writer 1 type style video essays about it, but I've been starved for a full deep dive analysis about movies like this, so if no one more competent than me is able to do it, then I'll just have to express myself in the most vain way ever by making a YouTube video. I specifically want to talk about how Expelled fails as a movie, as well as do a little deep dive into AwesomenessTV, which is the company who made this movie at the time, because I find their creations to be very interesting and not really talked about as a whole. Also, by the way, I wrote this script a very, very long time ago, so if some of this stuff is a little bit dated, that's why. I'll mention it when it comes up, but this has been a long time coming, okay? I've been waiting to talk about this movie, which is a little bit embarrassing because it's a very silly film, but yeah, let's get into it. So, AwesomenessTV is a production company that is a division of Paramount. Some people might recognize the name from a Nickelodeon sketch comedy show that was hosted by Daniela Monet, and others may from their YouTube channel which featured content from popular vloggers and now TikTok stars. I'm pretty sure they've been a popular MCN for creators since 2012, which is how you get movies like Expelled to exist in the first place. To sum up what an MCN is just real quickly, it's basically like a management for YouTubers at the time, so YouTube channels couldn't get monetized without a company being there as well, so they were there to make sure your channel could get monetized, and then they would just siphon money away from you like some sort of, bank chupacabra. They ended up being pretty useless at the end of the day once YouTube channels were able to monetize fully by themselves without the need of a company, so now they're not really all that in style anymore, especially from a lot of bankruptcies and just in general drama happening around them. So it seems like AwesomenessTV, or I think they're just called Awesomeness now, just went full in on TikTok celebrities. And I'm pretty sure they made the most recent, Hype House Netflix documentary. I'm pretty sure. They most likely had people like Cameron Dallas, Andrea Russet, Teala Dunn, and Leah Marie Johnson signed to their MCN at the time, and decided to cast them in their movie for their target demographic, which ensures them a built-in audience right out of the gate. I haven't confirmed whether they were ever signed to the AwesomenessTV MCM or not, but those are just my suspicions. I mean, the only reason why I watched this pile of garbage is because I knew Andrea Russet was gonna be in it. And even though I wasn't the biggest fan of Cameron Dallas, I was willing to put up with him in the leading role if that meant I could support one of my favorite creators at the time. I used to watch the YouTube sketches and the Nickelodeon show back in 2014. It was peak mindless entertainment for me when they had stopped showing reruns of iCarly, so I had nothing else to really grasp onto. Plus, 5 Seconds of Summer hosted an episode, so I was hooked from the very beginning. The show AwesomenessTV was literally just the sketches and skits they made for their YouTube channel, lazily stitched together by bumpers of Daniela Monet in front of a green screen, and occasionally celebrity guest stars as well. I distinctly remember tuning in and watching and realizing I had already seen most of the clips they provided on YouTube months ago, and I promptly turned my TV off to watch Tyler Oakley or something else on the internet. Maybe read a shitty short story on Wattpad about getting kidnapped by One Direction. I don't know, what else did people do for entertainment in 2014? I think the reason why many YouTube video essayists don't talk about AwesomenessTV all that much is because they're too old to be aware of the kind of shenanigans they pulled off, but not old enough to have nostalgia for it quite yet. But we've been dashing through trend cycles like crazy, so I feel validation in, sharing my weird memories I have with this network. Maybe some of y'all will have nostalgia for this too, and I'll just unearth a bunch of deep, dark, receded memories. Like I said earlier, it mainly seems like AwesomenessTV worries about TikTok celebrities now, which makes the most sense since the vloggers and celebs of only 8 years ago who are in the same field of audience are already old and played out. I guess YouTube commentary people and video essayists didn't really exist back then, so those cringy skits have gone by unscathed. But since they exist now, the TikTok reality shows and weird stuff people do on that app are constantly being talked about. Basically what I'm saying is that the vloggers of early YouTube probably deserved to get called out for their shenanigans more often, but there just wasn't a community doing that yet, so they just kind of got away with it all. It was mainly the Viners, later turned Instagram comedians, I guess if you could call them that, which got the brunt of the hate. Anyways, we were supposed to be talking about a movie. I just hate this movie so much that I think I'm avoiding even mentioning it. Let me take you through the plot of this movie and tell me if you spot any similarities. Felix, played by Cameron Dallas, is a high school class clown type kid who gets expelled after pulling multiple class pranks within the first semester. He is inexplicably able to keep this expulsion a secret from his parents, who are very strict and have already sent his older brother away to military school for giving them a fake report card. Cameron now needs... I just looked at my script and realized I wrote Cameron instead of Felix, like the character. That's really funny. I'll explain why it's hard to tell the difference between them later. Felix now needs to fake his own report card since he's no longer a student, and he goes to his bitter ex-girlfriend Vanessa, played by Andrea Russet, who's the principal's assistant and can make him a report card. She only says yes because he promises to guarantee her a win as class president against a preppy girl who she loathes named Stacy. Felix gets his best friend Danny, who was the guy from True Jackson VP, who is a master computer hacker, of course, to help him with this plot. Originally, they plan on hacking into the school's local bully account, named Roxy, to spread a smear campaign, but while Danny is hacking, he's able to find out that the preppy girl, Stacy, is the owner of this bullying account, which goes completely against her predominantly anti-bullying campaign. She even promised to put an end to Roxy when she was elected, proving that she was just conflating the bullying problem in the school to punch up her own numbers. They expose Stacy for this, and Vanessa wins class president. But since Vanessa is apparently the worst person ever, she sends Felix a fake report card with straight zeros just to spite him. He torments her at the school play as revenge, and then hatches a plan to hack into the school and to ensure he gets a straight A report card, which definitely isn't suspicious at all, considering he's mostly seen as a slacker. I guess he might pretend with his parents that he's doing really good at school, but the fact that there was a parent-teacher conference scheduled probably proves that, there was some suspicion there. He gets caught doing this because the principal was sleeping at his desk at the school for some reason that will matter later, and he is arrested. This is the only point in the movie where Felix really does any sort of introspection, because he finally thinks he's gotten himself into some real trouble. But before any sort of revelation is able to occur, his brother, who has escaped from military school, comes to pick him up. After that, he's able to get his perfect 4.0, which again, like I said earlier, should be suspicious to his parents, but I guess they're just really ecstatic about the whole thing. His mom had already set up a parent-teacher conference earlier and refuses to cancel despite his straight A status, so now Cameron has to bullshit his way through this as well. Some bullshit with the janitor happens you don't really need to know, just know that his brother tries to help him but makes everything worse and gets caught by their mom. Felix is grounded and he thinks he's gonna be found out by his mom, while the pizza delivery girl, I forgot her name, I'll insert it in post, played by Leah Marie Johnson, tells him that he should just go back to school so he can stop scheming and lying. What a revelation to have. So through some admittedly fun sleuthing, they are able to discover a dark secret. Their buddy Danny bugged the principal's laptop while they were making the fake report cards and finds out that their principal had been stealing money from the school to feed his gambling addiction, and they had devised a plan to blackmail him into re-enrolling Felix back into school. This actually works, but last minute Vanessa convinces him to steal the hard drive with the blackmail footage on it from Felix's room, which he's able to do even though Felix's bedroom is on the second floor. I guess he just brought a ladder, I don't know. Either way, he's able to do it. And he's going to tell Felix's mother that he was expelled in a meeting that she sets up that day, after the whole confusion around the parent-teacher conference stuff happened. Felix thinks it's all gone to shit again, but then it's revealed that the blackmail footage is also on the principal's laptop, and Danny is able to find it and snatch it in the last minute, causing the principal to tell Felix's mother that everything is fine, letting Felix get away with it all. And also, the principal, I guess, is allowed to keep stealing thousands of dollars from the school as long as this one kid gets the principal to do all of his biddings for him. And that's the moral of the film, everybody. So I hope you caught all of that. It's without surprise that this movie's writing is just very, very juvenile for some reason. I know it's most likely because of Cameron's young audience of girls, but I'm pretty sure things like report cards didn't exist in high school. At least at my high school, a lot of the kids lived by themselves already or had parents who really didn't care about report cards like my parents didn't. Maybe I'm gonna get called out for this and I'm wrong, but I wouldn't have worried about my report cards since the 8th grade. Also, the same thing with parent-teacher conferences. I just don't remember those happening in high school. I understand the movie was appealing to a young audience, considering I'm pretty sure it's PG. No, it has a PG-13 rating, but for some reason it feels like a Disney Channel movie. So clearly that's just very lazy writing. I wouldn't be surprised if this was a Disney Channel script that just never got made, sitting on like the bottom of a giant basket, and the people at AwesomenessTV just dug it up and aged up the characters to high schoolers so Cameron Dallas could play a character in it. Cameron Dallas, in his complete incompetence, is actually able to portray a level of slacker dude bro that many actors aren't able to in their commitment to actually being good actors. Cameron embodies the exact attitude I've personally noticed in kids like this at school, but his line delivery is so clearly not doing anything for him whatsoever, so all I can conclude is that he actually is that kind of guy that he's supposed to be playing. It's the worst possible outcome of typecasting. The movie feels like a fake meta film that the character of Cameron Dallas is ruining because he refuses to put any effort into his role whatsoever.
You got the IP address? How?
Worked a little bit of my magic and found a backdoor into Twitter.
Are you kidding?
Nope.
And also, Felix as a character is just a very distinct type of troublemaker. The kind that would put glue in the teacher's shoes instead of like a pin on the chair or something. None of it's ever actually devious. It's just kind of lame and annoying. Like, the things he does to cause him to get expelled is rigging the vending machine to give out free gum to the school, and rewiring the cheerleaders' fundraiser money to a koala exhibit. Apparently all of that within one semester is worthy of expulsion. It's implied throughout the movie that Felix is actually really smart, and that if he applied his smarts and drive into schoolwork instead of pulling pranks, he would be a really good student. This is supposed to be proved by him getting a better grade than a fucking loser nerd with glasses at the end once he's re-enrolled, proving that he is a true god and is no longer being held back by the silly game that is high school pranks. Now he may ascend into his proper place as ruler. But the movie can't pull that off because Cameron Dallas plays him with as much nuance as a high school football player who gets cast in the lead role of a school play because not enough boys auditioned. I really don't want to offend Cameron Dallas with this video, but first of all, he's never going to watch this, and second of all, it actually is that bad. It's clear that he's not an actor because he never did any acting after this movie. Literally, his most prominent IMDb listing is the Charlie XCX music video, so I guess that proves how good of an actor he really is. And like I said earlier, I take movies like this very seriously, so I'm personally offended that they did not put the time and effort that a teen movie deserves, okay? Movies like this are seen as cash grabs, which is why so many networks just like vomit them out and just don't put any effort at all, and why there's so many bad ones of them. But especially the newer ones that were coming out in the latter half of the 2010s, these networks didn't realize that these movies aren't cash grabs anymore. After Mean Girls, teen movies were like bread and butter for box office success. But now they're just not where it's at. It's kind of like an old relic, You're not going to see a teen movie coming out unless a network really has like a story they want to tell, And I think it's the shit quality that it got because of the oversaturation is what caused it to lose reputation in a good way. And I find that personally offensive, okay? I think teen movies are really important and deserve more time and effort put into them. The older brother character named Ben is played by Marcus Johns, who was also a Viner like Cameron Dallas, and I just cannot stand his performance, I'm sorry. I don't know much about him. I did the most basic of Google searches and didn't find anything too upsetting, so I don't want to shit on this guy for no reason, but man, I hate every action he makes in this shitty-ass film. It's this weird, attempted Jim Carrey impression that just mostly makes me want to scoop my eyeballs out with a rusty spoon. He's supposed to be the example that Felix learns from, since he was able to see every mistake his brother made and then become smarter because of it, which, ties into the absurd ending that also makes no sense. But, we'll talk more about that later. The best friend character is played by Matt Shively, who you might recognize from True Jackson VP, and I actually think he did a pretty good job. The editing is shit, and the writing is shit, but he's not too bad in this role. I actually kind of like the relationship the two best friends have. I'm a big fan of unlikely duos that never really get explained, and maybe if they had more scenes together than just Cameron by himself, this movie would be a lot better. Again, they basically just tried to rip off Ferris Bueller's Day Off by having him talk to the audience and break the fourth wall, but his character has like anti-charisma, so it just doesn't work. But the friendship dynamic does work pretty well, because there's small things like Felix always bringing his friend food, even if it's completely for manipulation because he's a shitty friend and Danny should ditch him because this guy's a douche, but it's a sweet little dynamic the two of them have. And once Leah Marie Johnson's character is properly introduced and the three of them scheme to take down the principal, the movie slowly becomes slightly less bad. Like, there are scenes within this movie that I could see being in an actual good film, and I would enjoy it. So they're just little pockets of slight amounts of joy, but nothing ever truly, good, you know what I mean? But yeah, the third act is decently well constructed, except for the ending, which is just silly. I guess I personally have nothing wrong with the fact of the principal being just an absolute bad person. Not only is he mean to our main character, so that makes him bad, but he's also committing crimes on the daily. I feel like the movie could have perfectly just ended with the principal getting arrested or something, because there's the police right outside the school when Felix's mom shows up. So the police are already there. It could have been super easy for Danny to just show the evidence to the police or just give it to them, and then have the principal arrested, because if he's gonna be a bad dude, have him be a bad dude. It's just, they just forgot about it, They just dropped it entirely. I guess the third act twist is revealed in a fun way. It stops the movie from having a middle act sinking ability. Because with a lot of slice of life movies, it's easy for the middle part to just kind of sink, because they know how the beginning of the movie is going to start, and they know how the end of the movie is going to conclude, but they don't really know what happens in the middle. So having this sort of mystery twist thrown in there, and basically have it be like a little TV show with little vignettes of what Felix is doing, does work in its favor of keeping the energy up. Again, this is what makes me think that this was already a pre-written script that was just like on a shelf somewhere that was supposed to be made for some made-for-TV film, and it just never got picked up. It just kind of got, pushed to the side, and Awesomeness just like found it and bought the rights to it, and then shoved all of their YouTubers and Viners into it, and then just did actual casting calls for, real actors for the characters that hadn't been casted yet. Because it's so clear that Matt Shively was actually cast in this film, like they held auditions for the best friend character, and he was cast, versus everyone else, like Teala, Dunn, and Andrea, Russet and stuff, who just were given the role because they were associated with AwesomenessTV already. Speaking of Andrea Russet, the whole reason why I watched this movie in the first place as a kid, does a pretty bad performance as a whole. I'm not trying to blame her too much for this because she's my queen and I love her with all my heart, but man, it's just wooden, and she's not really emoting in any way to apply how her character might be feeling.
I do not have time to talk to you.
You haven't heard what I want to talk about.
Now we've already talked more than I wanted to.
I need a report card.
Then I suggest going back to school, preferably somewhere far from here.
Ouch.
I can see this being a problem with the script as well. The character of Vanessa seems to switch which side she's on any given scene, with helping Felix and then portraying him for no reason whatsoever. And it just kind of makes all the scenes she's in just fall flat. If she was always planning on pulling the rug out from under him by giving him an all zeros GPA, report card, then her performance is not giving that sort of manipulation at all. And like I said, Teala Dunn is also in this movie. She plays Andrea Russet's best friend, but she's only in it for like 5 seconds, so she doesn't have enough time to prove any incompetency, so I guess she's just fine. I just realized now that there's probably a good amount of people who don't recognize these names. They probably have no idea who Andrea Russet or Teala Dunn are, and that I probably should have explained who they were. And that starts to make me feel old, even though I'm not old at all. I'm a very young person. I have a lot of sprightly energy left within me, but the fact that Teala Dunn is been forgotten to time, kind of makes me feel like my bones are withering away within me. So just look them up, okay? Because I can't do it. I can't do it. I would go on a whole rant about how Ferris Bueller's Day Off does this type of movie in every possible way much, much better, but YouTubers with better graphics than me have done that multiple times over, so I recommend just checking out videos like that, or just watching the movie yourself. I'm pretty sure it's on Netflix. If not, you can find it in other ways, I don't know. See, playing streaming service roulette is just not an issue for me anymore, because I just buy movies on eBay for $5 on DVD, and then I just have it forever. And I get bonus content and special features and a cool little title sequence. Just buy DVDs, If you find the movie only available for renting on YouTube or something, and it has a DVD of it, just buy the DVD instead. It has so much more value and worth, and it won't just disappear one day because YouTube decides it just doesn't want it on its website anymore, So I guess that's all I have to say about this movie. I have been delaying talking about this for a very, very, very long time now, so I feel a form of catharsis finally releasing my opinions about this movie from my body, and just letting people know about it, because like I said, this movie has been easily forgotten. I've seen some other movies from Awesomeness Films, which I'm pretty sure is the name of the production company that made this, and some of them are actually so bad that they are literally my least favorite movies of all time. My least favorite movie of all time is The Fuck It List. It is actually the worst thing I've ever seen. So if I ever muster up the courage to talk about that movie, then I will, but it's actually so bad that I don't think I could stomach thinking about it. So we'll have to see, I guess. I'm currently breaking the rules I set for myself earlier with the poll I made on Tumblr of which topics I was going to talk about. Obviously, this one got the lowest amount of, votes because no one has heard of this movie. So it was going to be the last thing I talked about after all the other topics. But I just got a sudden, spur of inspiration to rant about this. And the script was, 99% done when I went back to look at it. So I just said, fuck it, let's just talk about this movie. And I'm very glad I did. So this is most likely going to come out before the Sweet Life on Deck video, which I think is perfectly fine. You know, that video is going to take a lot longer than I thought it was originally. So this will be a nice little supplemental in-between project while you wait for that extra content. Check out my other videos. I made a video on Wizards Waverly Place. I think it's a slapper, so go check it out if you haven't seen it yet. Check out the video on my favorite movie of all time, My Babysitter's a Vampire. I think you'll like that one as well. I'll stop shameless promoing now. Have a nice rest of your day. Thank you for watching.